What's good, YouTube? It's the one, the only, flyest one of my city, JC, and I'm back again with another banger. Felt like it was time to, shake some shit up once again with another story time. So, without further ado, let's jump right into it. So, it's been a minute since I've been on YouTube. Been dealing with a lot of life stuff, school, track, all that, that type of stuff. But I felt like it was time for me to come back and give y'all a banger. Feel me? So with this story time, I'm gonna try to make it quick as possible. Quick little disclaimer: the snippet that y'all seen, that was filmed before this video, so like angles might be different, all that type of stuff. Also, if I'm looking down, I'm looking at notes because I definitely studied this whole story once again, because that was like 2 years ago type shit. But other than that, yeah, let's get right into it. So this was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I went on vacation. My second cruise. It was cool, it was calm, whatever, cool. Before I went on this cruise, I definitely had like a strong feeling like, I was gonna meet somebody, but I didn't really like think too much into it. It was just like a type of like gut feeling, but it was just like, all right, it is what it is, but you never know. Cool. Fast forward to the cruise. I had a good ass time. Like I had a time. The club was active, the ship was active, period. Like it was CT, New York, Mass, all the surrounding states, New Jersey, like all that. It was lit. Like that shit was active, bro. But like, once again, I had a time. I was with family, whatever, cool, all that type of stuff, whatever. First few days they were cool, whatever, because I stayed there for like like almost like 2 weeks, kind of. They were cool, whatever. Before I get into the person that that's surrounded based on the story, I'm gonna give y'all a little backstory, because like some people tie into the story but they don't at the same time, but it has to make sense for me to get into the point. So yeah, little backstory or whatever. During the cruise, I was always with my cousin or whatever, cool. We're vibing, chilling or whatever. There was one day where I noticed this boy or whatever, and I was in the elevator. Like I had just got into the elevator, the boy had just got out the elevator, and he was eyeing me for like a minute or whatever. When he got off the elevator, I peeped that he spent back, just to look at the elevator. But I got it like that. So no, let me stop. But yeah, no. I peeped that or whatever. And, I thought that boy was, attractive or whatever at the time. But me, like, one thing about me, I'm not gonna approach somebody because like you never know if somebody's straight or bi or gay or whatever they are. So one thing about me, I don't approach anyone unless they approach me. So it's like, feel me? I'm just about respect or whatever. So that's just that. But I did think the boy was cute at the time or whatever, cool. I low-key was plotting on trying to talk to him, but I was kind of scared because like I'm not the type of person to approach somebody first. Like if I approach somebody first, like it gotta be like through text. Like it can't just be like, oh, I'm gonna go up to you and be like, oh yeah, hey, like what's up, da, 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 or I think you look good or whatever, all that type of stuff. Like I'm not that type of person. So I was kind of plotting, but then at the same time it was like I don't know how it was gonna work. So once again, thought the boy was cute, whatever. Seen him like plenty of times during like the duration of the cruise or whatever. Seen him a few times like off the island. I mean, not off the island, like on the islands that we went to. We went to St. Thomas, Grand Turk, and Puerto Rico. So yeah, so that was like the little backstory or whatever. And I'm only bringing that up because that boy was friends with, I wouldn't say friends, but they were like kind of cool with each other on the cruise ship, and it was just kind of weird like how like that all happened, because like I actually wanted that first boy and not, and I never noticed the second one until he noticed me. The first boy, it's not that relevant to the story that much. The second boy, let's name him Red. So yeah, fast forward. One night, it was the day that I went to my last island, which was Grand Turk. That night, I went to the club, whatever. I was with my cousin, her boyfriend, and at the time I was with, I was with another person. I'm not gonna mention them. But anyways, it was a family member. Let's just say that. I was with them or whatever. We were cooling in the club, whatever. It was a vibe. The club was always a vibe every night or whatever. Sometimes I would go by myself, cause like shit, like why not? So I did that, or whatever. Sometimes, but that specific night, I was with them or whatever. My cousin and her boyfriend, they ended up going to the dance floor or whatever. They was having a good time, whatever. I was just sitting in the back, chilling, vibing to the music or whatever. Cool. So I noticed that there was this boy that kept like walking by me or whatever, and mind you, I didn't really like take a good look at his face, but I peeped that he just kept looking. He kept not looking, but I peeped that he kept walking by me. So I'm just like, whatever. But I didn't think nothing of it. So whatever. Fast forward. Eventually, the boy ended up basically putting up on me. So he sat next to me or whatever, and all I remember from that conversation was he came up to me and was like, why you sitting here alone type shit or whatever. And I was like, like I'm not alone. Like, my cousin and her boyfriend on the dance floor, they're doing their thing. I'm doing my thing. I'm just sitting here vibing or whatever. We had a good conversation from what I remember. He was asking me about myself. I was asking him same questions or whatever. Cool. And like he seemed like a genuine person. And like I was fucking with his vibe or whatever. So on the cruise ship, obviously like you can't like text on your phone or whatever. I mean you could, but like it just depends on what kind of like carrier you have. Cause me, I was able to text, but I couldn't call. Like if I was to call, like it would like charge me international. But I was able to text like without a problem. But on the cruise ship or whatever, they have like this app, and like you can text like your family or just anyone that's on the boat or whatever. You just put their name and cool. So me and the boy Red, we were talking for a minute or whatever. He ended up putting his thing in my message thing on the Carnival app. So he wanted to meet me like after the club, whatever. I'm like, that's cool, whatever, because I'm fucking with your vibe type shit. Again, if I'm looking down, I'm looking at screenshots and notes, all that. Like I said, I was fucking with his vibe or whatever, and yeah. So he wanted to meet me after the club, at the front of the deck, the front of the cruise ship, whatever. I'm not gonna lie, I was low-key scared because one, it was dark as fuck outside. Two, like I just met this boy, so it's like, alright, like I don't know what I'm getting into, but I'm outside, so yeah, type shit. So yeah, he ended up going back to the dance floor. He was vibing because that was the type of person that he was. Like he would like get hype with everyone, anyone, whatever. Again, I was just chilling in the club, whatever, in the back. He ended up texting me and was like, like if I get tired or anything, like to let him know, and we'll leave and we'll just go boom. So whatever, I told him, I was gonna stay for a minute or whatever. Cool. And I told him, I was like, when we're all finished, I'll just meet you there. So I asked him like, what floor was it? And he told me whatever. Cool. So after the club or whatever, I went to the fifth floor or whatever. I texted him. I was like, I'm on my way. Boom, boom, boom. I get there or whatever, and I'm waiting for him. Low-key scared because again it's mad dark out. We're at the middle of the damn ocean, and I can't see shit. So it's like whatever, cool. Finally he comes or whatever. We're talking for a minute or whatever. I'm telling him my life story, whatever. He telling me his life story. Like it was a good conversation. Like we were vibing. Like it was cool or whatever. Like it felt like a movie type shit. Like it was dark. We're out at sea. Like it was a vibe. Like that's some shit like I would love to experience again with like the right person. But yeah, like it was a vibe type shit or whatever. It got to a point where I was talking about a certain situation that I dealt with like prior, like a few months prior during that year. Because I at that point in time I was dealing with an ex. I ended up telling him about it or whatever. And he can tell like I was feeling like some type of way about it because like it was recent and like I kind of wasn't healed yet. I was, but I wasn't at the same time. But I was still kind of hurt about the situation. So one thing led to another. He felt like he had to kiss me and make me feel better, I guess. And I'm not gonna lie, the kiss was good. It was. And I definitely like kind of did feel better because like it was like, all right, like I kind of needed that. So like that was that. That happened. We kept talking for a minute. I'm not gonna lie, we low-key fell asleep outside, but again it was a vibe. Cool. For the remainder of the time on the cruise, I spent time with him. We went to the hot tub and the fitness room, chilled there. We were in my room, his room. We were laid up together, like we're talking, just like low-key trying to get to know each other or whatever. I did genuinely fuck with this person or whatever in the short amount of time that I was with him in person. Because like I'm not gonna lie, like he made me feel like secure, and I felt like I needed that at that point in time. So it kind of felt good. So that was that. I don't really remember what else we did. All I know is that we really spent like the majority of the rest of the duration of the cruise together. It was cool. It was a vibe. Whatever. He met my cousin, her boyfriend. We were just chilling together. Cool. Fast forward. It was the end of it was the last day of the cruise. The night before we got off the ship. He stayed in my room. We slept together or whatever. The next morning, before he left, I'm not gonna lie, my eyes cried, cause shit, like it was kind of sad. Like you get a cruise bay and like you gotta let them go type shit, and it's like damn, like I gotta let go of my bookie. But it is what it was. So that was that. After the boat, though, like after the ship. We did plan on seeing each other again the next week, which was like 5 days after, I believe. Yeah, it was, cause the last day was 4th of July, and then we got out the 5th. Yeah, it was definitely that. 5 days after, we were planning on seeing each other. But in that meantime, like we were talking or whatever, we were getting to know each other more. Talking on the phone, telling each other we missed each other, flirting, all that type of good stuff. We would get on the phone, like I said. We would do like watch parties, like Netflix party, like watch shows. And in particular, we were watching the show Star. If y'all watch that, that's my shit. And yeah, and this man even planned on trying to go to the DR as a vacation. Literally the next year after. We just met. Keep in mind. And I'm just like, damn. And my stupid ass, what's going with it? Cause I'm just like, yo, like I really like this. About to blur that out. I was like, like I already like him or whatever. So it's like, cool. But I was with it. But I was also with it because like I like to travel too. So it's like whatever. And I was under the impression like we'll probably be like vibing for a minute because like I genuinely messed with his vibe type shit. And it was just like yeah, but he was coming up with a whole plan like like we could make a joint account, save money, get the flights by this month, book the room by this month, like it was a whole entire plan. And I was like yo, like, and I was going with it. But then it started being like kind of weird because at one point like he started mentioning how like I basically needed to slow down a little bit like with the romantic stuff, like telling him like basically like how do I like mention this or say this. He was basically telling me like by me trying to reassure him type of stuff, all that, for me to like slow down or whatever. And like that was understandable or whatever because like I understand he wanted to feel like the build up to like trying to get to know someone, all that type of stuff, all that. It's understandable. But it kind of didn't make sense to me in a way because the things that I would be saying would be the same things that he would say. So it's like you're kind of being like a hypocrite in a way. But I didn't really like think too much into it because like at the end of the day we had just met and like I fuck with you, so it's like yeah. Regarding him coming over like for me to see him again, originally he was supposed to, I wanted him to stay at my house, but like I live with my mom, so she told me no basically, which was understandable because like I just met this person and she don't know this person either, so it's like all right, cool. So we basically needed to find somewhere else to stay. Cool, which was fine. We did find an Airbnb. Before he came though, mind you, everything was cool or whatever, so I thought. Before he came, all of a sudden like he started saying like he wanted to drive back home instead of like basically staying on the night or whatever. And like I didn't want that to happen because like you're driving from New York to Connecticut and it's like no, I'm not letting you drive late as fuck at night from my state back to yours. I'm not doing that. Like I would rather you stay with me than drive at night, feel me? It's like the safer option. But now that I really think about it, like looking back from when I was looking back at the messages, now that I really think about it, like it basically just sounded like he didn't want to stay with me at all. Like because like when we were in the process of like booking things, like he would like try to be like, oh, like try to see if it's free cancellation or just not a whole third, like trying to find ways to like make it seem like he couldn't come or like stuff like that. Now that I really look at it, and he also kept making excuses like, oh, like his mom said this not a whole third, boom 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 boom. Like sir, we're mad grown, please be for real. If you don't want to come, just say that. Don't. But it's also like, don't plan shit with me or try to plan shit with me and fumble the bag or some shit. Feel me? Like that's one thing I hate. Like if someone makes a plan with me, like stick with it. Or if you're gonna cancel, like tell me ahead of time. Like don't tell me like the day before or feel me, like no, or the day of. Cause that's basically what that was. But I did end up booking the Airbnb or whatever, which was cool. The Airbnb, it was nice or whatever. It was a little apartment or whatever it was, but it was nice. It was like maybe like 20 something minutes away from my house, which was cool or whatever. not too far. Um, so finally, the day came. 5 days later. At this point, it was July 10th, 2023. The day came. Whatever he came. We chilled for a little bit. We had got food. I remember all that. The food we got. We went down the street. We got some. Well, I got some birria tacos. I don't remember what he got, but I don't know if he got the same thing. He probably did. But we went down there or whatever. It was good. We ended up laying up or whatever. Cool. One thing I did notice though, even like on the cruise, he would like purposely like fall asleep, and I'm like, okay, like at first I didn't really think anything of it like when we were on the cruise, but like doing it outside of the cruise, I'm like, all right, like you're falling asleep purposely, and like we're not even talking, like you're not even trying to talk to me, no none of that. So it's like, what are you here for, type shit. So I'm just like, whatever. But again, I didn't really think anything of it. Later that day, he met my mom. He met my stepdad or whatever. They fucked with him or whatever. We went to the Airbnb later on. We got some Domino's. We was watching like movies and shit, whatever. Cool. We ended up, taking a shower or whatever. Not together, but we ended up taking a shower. Ended up laying up or whatever. Watched a little bit of Star or whatever, and then we had laid down or whatever. I'm not gonna lie, one thing led to another. Some shit happened. Yeah, that happened. Boom. So after that, the morning came. He brought me back home. He came inside or whatever. We was talking for a little bit. Hugged him for a little bit, and he ended up leaving back to New York because he had to work the next day, basically. Well, that same day. After that day, like, we were fine or whatever until it wasn't. A few days after the Airbnb, he sent me like this long voice message basically saying like, like the things that I say to him, like, calling him bae or like just flirting with him in general. Apparently it made him feel like uncomfortable because of the fact that we just met, etc., etc. And he was basically just saying like he didn't want to get attached too easily because he's done that in the past and people like fucked him over and it's not a whole third, and he was trying to be cautious. And I'm just like, like that's understandable or whatever, but like the stuff that I would be saying will be the same things that you're saying. So again, that's hypocritical. Feel me? Like, if y'all disagree, like, let me know. But it just didn't make any sense to me because it's like, damn, like you don't make any sense. Like you telling me all this, but then you're doing the opposite. And then when I do it, it's a problem. Feel me? Like, no. So it kind of felt like manipulative. Yeah, manipulative. So that was that. What really got me, what was starting to get me, what was starting to like turn me off about him or whatever, he told me that basically I was top one for him, but he blatantly told me like he was gonna entertain other people while still talking to me. And I'm just like, why? Like, we just did all the things that we did, and now you're telling me this? Like, no, that didn't make any sense to me. I'm just like, bro, because one thing about it is, if I'm gonna be intimate with somebody, it needs to be just that one person. Like, you're not gonna sit there and entertain 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6. Like, you're not doing that. Like, if we already just got intimate, if we're kissing, if we're doing all this like intimacy stuff, like, then it's just me and you, regardless if we're together or not. Like, if we were just intimate, then feel me, like, no. So he just basically like confused me, he was confusing with his feelings or whatever, and confusing me with just everything he was just saying, because he just didn't make any sense, quite literally. He told me like basically not to feel like we're exclusive, that we needed to prove that we wanted to be exclusive to each other. And then what basically threw me off was he basically just said we were a free trial. And I'm like, damn, like, what the fuck? And it's funny because like him saying that was really what actually happened. And it's like, damn, like, you really just played the fuck out of me for real. Like, that shit's weird to me. But I'm gonna get into that. I don't know, but like I said, like, it just basically sounded like manipulation to me, because it's like, you don't make any sense. You're saying one thing and then saying another, but then going back at what you said, it's like, you know what, like, no. So that happened, whatever. His energy definitely started shifting after that. Like I said, one day he'll be lovey-dovey, the next he'll be dry. And again, it just confused me, just like how he acted, because like, it just didn't make any sense. Like, you're feeding my mind with stuff, but then it's like, I don't know, because one minute you're saying I'm your man, and then the next you're like, oh, like, I don't want to be with you, or I want to insult other people, or just not a whole third. And then it's like, feel me, like, that don't make no sense, or it didn't make any sense to me. And then it's like, you'll put it back on me and say like I need to slow down, or you'll just ignore the fact that like I'm like flirting with you type shit. And it's like, no, it didn't make any sense. Down the line, you know, we were still okay or whatever. Yeah, down the line we were still okay or whatever for a little minute. Maybe like a week or two passed. It came down to the point where there was one day where I wrote him like a meaningful like paragraph, you know, just basically like expressing like, you know, like how I felt about him or whatever, because that's the type of person that I am. Like, if I like you, like, I'm gonna tell you like how I feel about you, not consistently, but like I'm gonna always reassure you. So I wrote him that, and his response was just like, why? Like why? His response was, I gotta be honest with you. Right now, all I want for us is to be friends. Please don't take this. Oh. Sorry. I had to find the screenshots because I like low-key messed up. Yeah, so I wrote him a meaningful paragraph or whatever, and his response to that was basically he wanted to just be friends. He was basically saying like, don't take it the wrong way, that it's not me, that he doesn't want to hurt me, that he wants me to be in his life. And he was basically saying like, I'm not saying this like I'm gonna pick and choose when to entertain you. He was just basically saying like, oh, I want you to be my friend and only my friend. I want to remove the feelings and intimacy from the equation. And I'm just like, okay, like, why do you feel like that all of a sudden? Like, that don't make any sense. Mind you, I was already having a bad day, so it's like, why are you making it even worse? So I basically wrote him a whole thing, and I'm just like, you know, like, listen, I'm not trying to do anything to overwhelm you, and like, you know, I want to be with you eventually, and I already told you I want to take things slow as well, and I'm not rushing into anything. And I was basically just saying like, I'm just telling you, like, I basically just tell you how I feel all the time. Like, well, not all the time, but like, you know, I reassure you once in a blue or whatever. So it's like, yeah. And I was basically telling him like, you know, I'm the type of person to show that I actually care. Like, I'm not gonna never do that. And I basically told him like, you know, if I'm trying to get to know you, like, I'm not gonna sit here and mess with anybody else. So yeah, and that's another thing that made me feel some type of way. Like, you're not about, how you gonna tell me that you're gonna entertain other people, but you're kissing me, you're doing all this type of other stuff? Like, feel me? No. I basically told him like, you know, I want to get to know you more in a serious level. But I told him, I was like, you know, you also need to understand, like, you know, we already did sexual things together, so we already rushed into that, and you already met my mother, and I don't let anyone meet my mom. So it's like, for me to do that, it's like, wow. And then I got an Airbnb for us to stay at, and then you booked the trip for us for the DR in January. So it's like what's going on? Like, I'm confused. If you didn't want to mess with me, like, you should have just said that from all the way at the cruise. Like, it could have just been, we were messing on the cruise, and like, that was it. We didn't have to continue this after the cruise, especially since we didn't live in the same state. That's what confused the fuck out of me, because it's like, all right, like, you telling me all the stuff that I want to hear, and that I know that you would want to hear, but now all of a sudden I'm making you uncomfortable or making you feel some type of way. That didn't make any sense to me. It just basically sounded like you didn't want to talk to me, no, none of that. But again, I didn't really think too much into it, but you know, yeah, cause again, like I like this person. But I basically was just basically like I'm trying to understand like what was really the problem. And he was just basically saying like, you know, we were just friends, whatever, and we'll see what happens. But it just again just didn't make any sense to me. Like if you had your own personal issues or whatever the case is, like okay, cool, but like don't put that shit on me, type shit. But what really got me was after all that, he was basically just saying like he still wanted to be like sneaky links, basically. And I'm just like, how do you want to be sneaky links? You still want to be intimate, but you just said it didn't. Like, if 2 + 2 = 4 and 3 + 3 = 6, like that didn't make any sense. Like, feel me? Like, no. Yeah, it's basically just sounded like narcissistic, manipulative. It just didn't make any sense to me. And yeah, so that happened. Fast forward, we were cool or whatever you wanted to call it. It was just like it is what it is at that point, because it's just like, I mean, what else can I say? You don't want a relationship with me or whatever the case was. So it's like, all right, you didn't want a relationship with me, but you said the thing that you said to me. So it's like, all right, whatever. It just confused me because I'm just like, all right, whatever. What really started to piss me off though was like I would try to like vent to him about like, you know, stuff that's going on in my life, certain issues or whatever, because you know I felt comfortable trying to talk to him, feel me? Because again, like I liked him a lot, and he would shut me down, tell me he didn't want to hear anything I had to say, tell me that I was being negative, tell me that I was just basically drama filled, like all that. And I'm just like, why are you shutting me down? Like literally, you're the person that I feel comfortable talking to, so why, like, no. But besides that, like things were like, you know, cool and shit until, you know, it wasn't. So prior to when we were about to stop talking, a few days before that, I don't remember what I told him, but I know it was something that I tried to vent to him about, and I remember that he shut me down like immediately, like, oh, I don't want to hear this is not a whole third. And I was like, damn, like what the fuck, I can't even speak to you, like what the fuck. So I was already starting to get like turned off even more. I'm just like, bro. And I feel like if that was the goal for you to do, like just to make me get turned off, then like you should have just stopped fucking with me from the jump. Like why prolong it? Feel me? Like it didn't make any sense. That reverts back to the whole free child thing. One thing about it is I'm not a little boy. And no, I'm a grown ass man, and I'm not about to be sitting here playing these little ass kid games with you. Like, if you want to fuck with me, then you can fuck with me. If not, then leave me the fuck alone. It's not that, oh yeah, prolong it and then play with his feelings and then like start a problem type shit. Like that's really what it was. I ain't like that, cause it's like, bro, keep it a buck or leave me the fuck alone. Simple. So yeah, a few days prior to we stopped talking, I had vented to him about something or whatever, cool. Now it's August 1st. So August 1st, he wrote me an entire paragraph basically saying like that he didn't want to talk to me or whatever the case was, that he realized that I engaged in a lot of negative energy and super whatever the fuck he fucking said behavior when he used big ass words. I guess I bit some shit on Snap, don't even recall what it was. It probably wasn't even that serious. he was basically saying like whatever I posted was uncalled for and whatever, that he felt like he had to distance himself from me because he wasn't jacking it or whatever the case was. Apparently I was in so much drama when I wasn't. Um, and yeah, so I basically was just like, I'm not in drama. Like, if you feel some type of way about anything that I post, then that's on you. But nobody's in drama. Like, that's not what it is. Not what it ever was. If anybody attaches my name to drama, like, or if anybody did attach my name to drama, it will be because they brought me into it. I didn't start any drama. I'm not that other person. I'm always calm, collective. I'm always in my house, my room, my dorm. Like, feel me? Like, no. Also, I did press him about the whole thing about cutting me off as I'm talking to him. Because like, don't do that. Like, if you're talking to me and I'm listening to you, then do the same for me. Don't cut me off while I'm talking to you. Like, I hate that shit. Like, that's mad disrespectful. His whole thing was, oh, because he didn't want to hear anything I had to say, whatever, cool. Apparently it was drama or whatever. So I'm like, okay, sorry you felt that way. Like, no. So I basically wrote him a whole long thing. Like, you know, like, I didn't like that distance shit. Like, if you want to talk to me, be a man about it and tell me about your feelings. Like, no. Also, like, I would try to text him. Like, at that point in time, I would try to text him. He would barely text me back. I would try to call him. He would barely call me. And I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna just let it be. I ended up giving him space. And the next day, I was kind of dry with him because, like, I didn't know what else to say. Like, I was already falling out of my feelings for him because, like, I already knew he wasn't even the type of person for me. Like, if you can't let me talk to you about certain things, regardless of what the fuck it is, then I don't need to be with you, talk to you, no, none of that. Like, that's weird. Like, that's mad disrespectful. If I had to sit there and listen to anything you had to tell me or whatever the case is, and you can do the same for me, then what's the point? Like, no, this shit is not one-sided. The next day, it was just a dry conversation. And the next, I think later that day, we were trying to talk. No, I had asked him what he was doing, and you know, I was trying to conversate or whatever, and like, he was barely even saying anything. I tried to call him, he didn't answer. It came to a point later that night that he was active on social medias and all that, and I'm just like, damn, like, you're active on social medias and you can't even respond to me type shit. Like, and that's one thing I hate too. Like, if we're talking or whatever the case is, and you're just active on social media and you're not saying nothing to me, but like, that's gonna piss me off because I'm like, damn, like, you're just ignoring me, like, for what? Like, I didn't even do anything wrong. So I basically went on a whole rant. I'm like, I don't know how to feel about you anymore because it's like, I don't know what's been going on with you, but I don't like how you see, like, I'm calling you and I'm texting you and you just let that shit ring, or you just ignore anything I say. Like, I don't like that shit. And anytime that I'm like flirting with you, you don't do the same. Like, you pick and choose when you want to do it. I don't like that. Like, it's just like you're like leading me on type shit, and like, that's weird. And if you're gonna lead me on, like, just stop talking to me. It's that simple. Or just let it be known, like, I don't want to do this anymore, and we could just. All right, sorry, y'all. My camera died. But that's what I was saying. I'm gonna try to make it fast because my camera's at a decent battery. But yeah, no, like, it was just like, feel me, like, the shit you say, like, you seem like you're just leading me on type shit. So it's like, if you don't really want me for real or whatever the case is, then just leave me the fuck alone. But I basically wrote him like a whole MLA format essay because, like, you're not making no type of sense. So I basically was just telling him, like, you know, like, I'm starting to lose interest because, like, you know, like, you just doing weird shit. And I'm like, you know, like, I care about you and stuff, and I want this to work, but like, if you gonna have off energy, then I don't want that around me. Feel me? And I'm like, you don't listen to me either. You don't respect anything I say, regardless of what the situation is. Feel me? So it's like, bro. So I was just telling him all that. So what really got me was, and this is the turning point for me. This is when my feelings just boom. Now you're done. So he basically was just like, oh, I call and text him very often. It's on a whole third. That me and him are just friends. That I'm not his man. It's on a whole third. Then he hit me with the, and not to throw salt on an open wound, but to keep it a buck, I'm not romantically interested in you. So then why did we do all the things that we did? Why did we kiss? Why did we do sexual things? Why did you tell me the things that you told me? Why did you do all that? Feel me? Like, if you're not romantically interested in me, you could have been left me alone. Feel me? And you didn't. So that's just the weird shit. I don't like that. Like, if you gonna leave me on, leave me the fuck alone. Simple. Then he goes, one, I don't have the energy to say anything close to a relationship, and two, you exhibited particular behavioral traits that from this point on I can only ever see you as a friend, yet you want to do sexual shit still. Make it make sense. Then he was just saying bullshit or whatever. So I was like, you know what, like, I exhibited what? Like, I didn't do anything to you. I was saying, you're not romantically interested in me, but you was just saying you miss me. I was like, you got your feelings all mixed up and I'm not having that. I was like, you're not romantically interested in me, so then why the fuck did you kiss me the first night you seen me? Like, feel me? Like, don't do shit like that, because you're leading people on. And I was like, why did you cuddle me? Why did you hug up on me? Why did you do all the things that you did? Like, you don't make any sense. I was like, I did nothing for you to just see me as a friend. And I was like, if it's because of the stuff that I posted on my story, then that's childish. Like, you don't make any sense. I just basically went on a whole rant, because I'm just like, you don't make any sense at all. Like, you're just saying shit just to say it. And I'm just like, I'm not your man, but you were saying that on the cruise. Like, you're texting your friends, you're talking to other people outside of the boat. You're telling them it's not a whole third, and now all of a sudden it's a change. And it's like, I didn't change my behavior from how I was acting on the boat to how I was acting outside of it. It's all been the same. I never changed. That was what irritated me the most, because I'm just like, you're not going to tell me what I do and what I don't do. Feel me? And obviously was just saying, like, I'm mad girl, I don't have time for little boy games. Like, if you're not on the type of timing, then we should have never done what we did. You should have told me what it was on the boat and kept it stepping. Simple. And he was basically just trying to be funny, talking about some, oh, I'll respond when I'm in a positive headspace. Man, bye. Whatever. Like, man, boo. So, whatever. Then he started threatening me, talking about some, oh, I suggest you stop texting me before I say something that I'm gonna regret and can't come back from. Man, I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I already said what I said, because you don't make no sense. So he writes me a whole big paragraph the next morning, talk about some, when he met me on the cruise, that he only met a part of me and didn't know all of me. The parts that he met was he was attracted to me immensely, or whatever the case was. That as time progressed, he continued to see my authentic self, which was always the same. And that I distributed distinctive traits that he didn't fuck with, or whatever, and whatever bullshit. It just didn't make any sense to me, because I'm just like, you're just a hypocrite, and you're mad manipulative. But yeah, he just didn't make any sense. So that was that. So that from that point on, I was just giving him, I didn't even respond to that message, because I'm just like, I'm not even gonna bother with it anymore. Like, I'm just done fucking with you. That same day, I accidentally called him. He was like, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Your call is on the whole third. I'm like, oh, well, I didn't mean to call you. Like, at that point, I just didn't give a fuck. I don't want to fuck with you. So, I basically told him, I was like, don't expect anything to change when you come back. Like, because I guess he was going on a trip or whatever the case was, and he wanted to talk to me after. I'm like, well, don't expect anything to change. My mindset is already set. Like, I don't want to fuck with you. I feel like you're weird. I 100% lost interest in you, because you're saying all this shit to me, and it's mad out the blue. Like if you didn't feel like you were romantically interested in me, you should have left me alone. Simple. Especially if you knew how I was starting to feel about you. Feel me? Like no. Wrote a whole big thing. And like, mind you, the way he was like low key starting to act was the same way that I was dealing with my ex prior to him. Like, and it's crazy because I told him about that. And one thing I learned was, and I learned this from a friend: never tell someone in depth detail about what happened in your past, because they can turn it back around and use that to their advantage and treat you the same exact way but worse. And I learned, and I've dealt with that before, even after this person. So I wrote a whole long paragraph or whatever, and he didn't respond to me. The next day I texted him again and I was like, take me off the DR trip too, I don't want to go. He basically felt some type of way about that. He basically said I was blowing everything out of proportion. He was saying how I made it seem like he left me for dirt, which you kind of did, because you just out the blue just started saying shit. And I understand me and him were messing with each other for a month, but like we did so much in that month, and we were trying to build up. Well, I was trying to build up into something, and you just played in my face. So I didn't like that shit. And clearly, I had to talk a certain way for you to understand that. So that, yeah, that happened. He was basically saying like, I told you I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do that anymore. Still want to fuck with you as a friend. He said I didn't shit on you. I didn't speak bad on your name. Nothing negative. He was like, you making it seem like we was in some 3+ month relationship and I dogged the fuck out of you, which you kind of did. He told me that he been told me he felt overwhelmed or whatever the case was. I don't know how, because you basically were doing the same thing that I was doing, so it didn't make any sense to me. He was basically just calling me childish and immature. Don't know how. He was saying how he was grown, how he was direct about how he was feeling. You really weren't, because I just feel like if you were, we wouldn't have been in the predicament that we were in. So it's like, bro, because once again, like, if you didn't feel that way, you should have just left me alone, or you should have just cut it off from the jump. Like, no, or like I said, it should have just been on the cruise, and off the cruise it would have been like, all right, we're cool, we're friends, whatever the case is. Don't just keep entertaining something that you don't really want, for real. Feel me? That's mad. Like no. Like at that point, you're picking and choosing. And that's exactly what he did. He picked and chose whenever he felt like he wanted to be flirtatious or whatever the case was. I expressed that, and you know, he felt some type of way. He ended up blocking me. Whatever. That ended up happening. So I'm not gonna lie, I did try to reach out that same exact day. I try to apologize for how I was overreacting, but at the same time though, respectfully, there should have been no type of apology, because I'm valid for feeling how I felt. Don't tell me you want to be with me or gas my head up with things and then all of a sudden just switch up out the blue. And also don't cut me off while I'm talking to you. If I'm trying to talk to you about something, like, that's mad rude. Like, if I don't do that to you, don't do that to me. Because if I can listen to anything you tell me, then reciprocate that to me too. Like, I just feel like that shit's just weird. Like, and I'm kind of glad that didn't happen. Like, that didn't turn to a relationship, because that would have been like, no, that would have been way too toxic for me. And I dealt with, and it's crazy because even after him, I got into a toxic relationship. And it's just like, bro, like, I went from a potential toxic relationship into an actual one. And it's like, damn. And after that toxic relationship, my head was so fucked up. And it's like, damn, like, you know, like, I was single for a long time. I didn't want to be with anyone. and like it just really fucked my head up. I started smoking again because it really fucked my head up. Like it was a lot. Like I dealt with a lot after dealing with that first initial person, even if it was for a month. Fast forward, I believe it was a year later. The boy, I peeped that he was looking at my story, and I texted him like, like what's up, like why are you looking at my story? He basically was just saying like he would check on me periodically, but mind you, I didn't know that. He would basically say that or whatever. I mean, he basically said that or whatever, and he apologized for how he was acting and all this type of stuff. And I'm just like, like it is what it is, because I don't really care about it anymore. But just know that that would never be a thing, because yeah, we were somewhat cordial or whatever. He was up on my story, I was talking about his story. If he posts something that I could relate to or whatever the case was, or I just comment on something. After a while, I just stopped talking to him. It would just be like out the blue stuff. Recently, I just deleted him off of social media because I low-key feel like he's weird. I don't have a problem with him, but I just feel like he's weird. The last real type of like conversation that I had with him, I guess he normally does parties every year at his house in the summer. Long story short, I had swiped up on his story, and I was just like, like shit, like I might pull up too, like shit, because why not? He basically took that as, oh yeah, I'm gonna pull up and try to rekindle something with him. Man, nobody wants that. Like if I was dumb enough to do it, then maybe if I was an idiot. But man, nobody wants that, and I can find way better than you. Like I said, I don't have a problem with this man, but one thing about it is I feel like that was a learning lesson for me, because one, it's like don't rush into something that you just don't know if it's gonna work out or not. Two, just take things slow. Off rip, don't go to sexual advances or kissing or all that type of stuff. Just build up to it. Three, capture the red flags as soon as you can, because that right there, all that red flags, because didn't make any sense. You're flip-floppy, and that's one thing I don't like. Like if you're gonna be flip-floppy, there's no reason why we should be talking or trying to mess around or all that type of stuff. Like no, I just felt like that was weird. But I'm in a better place now. And yeah. But that's it for this story time. I feel like the main message is just to be careful who you mess with. When you see the red flags, that's your time to leave. If somebody you like isn't reciprocating the same type of energy as you, just let it go, because at the end of the day, you're just gonna hurt yourself even more in the end. And it's not worth hurting yourself while they're just living their life and doing what they gotta do. There's a lot that can come out of this story time, and like message wise. But yeah, once again, I don't have a problem with that person. But it is what it is. That happened. Another lesson is I will never mess with somebody on a cruise again, ever in life. Like that would never happen, because yeah. Or I mean, I'm dealing with someone right now, and I'm getting treated great. So it's like, yeah. But if I wasn't with this person and I was single and I was dealing with somebody on a cruise or whatever the case was, man, we're not taking this shit serious. Cause on some real shit, like I'm not gonna sit here and play myself again. Like I learned my lesson. Like, it's just really what it is. Like, we could talk outside of the cruise, whatever, be cool, whatever the case is. But like, if it doesn't lead anywhere, then it's dead. Like, it's really what it is. I'm not about to try to be on some relationship type of shit or no none of that, because what's the point? Feel me? But yeah, I think that's it for this story time. If y'all enjoyed that little rant that I just had, let me know. And also let me know what y'all want to hear from me. Any other type of videos y'all want to hear from me besides story times. And yeah, cause I'm trying to be back on this YouTube shit, like, feel me? Like, and I also gotta bring back CT Hotspot soon, like, but you know, Miss Jaylene Nicole, where you at? Feel me? Like, we gotta film that, we gotta bring special guests, like, bro, we still gotta do all that type of shit. But, and that's another thing too, if y'all want the podcast back, let me know what y'all want to hear, what you want me to touch on. And yeah, but that's it for this story time, that's it for this video. And I'm gonna see y'all next time.